from the bubble, LeBron James and the Lakers taking on the Thunder, and the stars were out in attendance, to at least the extent that they can be. Lil Wayne is there, kind of. Third quarter, Lakers down 7. LeBron going to the basket. LeBron, oh, that's no good. LeBron, 19 points last night on 19 shots, and now we're going the other way. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going to get it to Chris Paul, and he's going to lay it up and good. Paul would lead all scorers with 21 on the night. And then stay with the play. On the other end, Danilo Gallinari playing the defense. And now just take a look at Steven Adams. Watch the Euro step. He's from New Zealand. It's the Kiwi step. He had 18 points last night. Steven Adams awful good. Late in the third, Lakers down a dozen. Gilgeous-Alexander, oh, driving on Alex Caruso, yes, plus the foul. And if you think LeBron doesn't care, he's heated. He would get a technical, arguing from the sideline. So LeBron trying to keep his team fired up even on a night where they did not play well at all. Fourth quarter, Thunder up 13. Chris Paul sizing up Kyle Kuzma. You can't stop this. As I mentioned, 21 points for Paul, plus 7 rebounds, plus 6 assists. LeBron I mentioned with 19. Here's Paul again on Kuzma, stepping back. Thunder come away with a comparatively easy win. Lakers continue to struggle in the bubble, but LeBron says these are weird times.
This is a totally different situation than any other situation I've been in my career. So I have zero experience with having the #1 seed inside of a bubble during seeding games, playing in August. It's a totally different season, a totally different drastic situation for all of us, including myself.
You know, it's very interesting that he says that. I wanted to bring RC and Nick in on this just as athletes to try and put yourselves into the psychology, because not only is LeBron pointing out all of the ways in which these games are unusual, but they've already clinched the 1 seed in the Western Conference, and there is no home court advantage to play for anyway, because all these games are going to be played on neutral sites with no fans in a bubble. So Nick, how would you put yourself into the head of a guy like LeBron there, trying to keep himself relatively motivated for the next week and a half?
Yeah, I have no idea how you do that, because sometimes you feed off the opposing fans' crowd to get you angry, to get you hyped up, and sometimes you just don't have it. It just sends me back to my time with the Ravens, where Ray Lewis, one thing that was special about him was he would get himself worked up into a ridiculous frenzy no matter what we were doing. I remember like a random game against the Browns, and Ray Lewis was in the tunnel before the game in tears. And like, we're playing the Browns. I'm looking at Ray like, how do you get yourself to this point? Like, it's just the Browns. Like, that's Brady Quinn over there. Relax. But I think that's a difference, one of many differences between Hall of Famer, best linebacker ever, Ray Lewis, and me, and just about every other football player there is. So I don't know how he was able to do that. He would tell himself stuff like if we win this game, crime will go down in the city of Baltimore. Like, he would genuinely believe that stuff, and it would make him be a much better football player. I don't know how he did it, but they need to bring him into the bubble to help some of these teams stay focused right now, because whatever tricks he knew back then, some people need it right now when you're in a bubble situation playing in front of a digital Lil Wayne.
Yeah, to be clear, there are teams that are playing for stuff right now, RC, but the Lakers are not. They've clinched everything there is to clinch. What do you think?
First of all, we can't put ourselves in LeBron's position, because I've never been the greatest doing what I was doing, and LeBron James is that. So let's say that. But I think this goes to like a bigger picture thing, right? When we talk about the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants, and you know what I was doing, Greeny, before we came on. I was watching The Last Dance on my iPad, because I just find it fascinating. And part of that was, right, Ahmad Rashad was talking about when Michael Jordan went to Paris, and he was saying that people bought a ticket, and Michael Jordan was driven that every time you went to see him play, you came for a show, and he was going to give you that show, that nobody could ever go to the game and say, oh, Mike only scored 12, because he was individually motivated to be great every time he stepped out. Kobe Bryant, the exact same way. What does everybody say? No matter what, he wanted to kill. He wanted to take your heart, and he might not have played well, but he went out there with that focus. Listen, LeBron's the king, and you got to be the king whether it's a time of war or it's a time of peace. Because if it's a time of war, you got to be on your stuff, and you got to make sure that your kingdom, that the people that follow you are ready to go and protect all that is yours. And when it's peace, you got to get the right allies. You got to be working your way into a frenzy like Ray Lewis did, because he was playing against Brady Quinn, and be ready for when the war jumps off. And that's the type of focus you need to be the best ever. And for LeBron to say, hey, hey, I don't really know, like we're in this bubble, this is weird. It's weird for everybody. But the reason you're the king, the reason you're the greatest do it is because you can elevate yourself when you need to. He needs to find a way to elevate the Lakers because they can't limp into the bubble playoffs and think that they're not going to be able to create their own energy.
Postseason starts a week from Monday. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.